And we're back with Versus the Winnipeg edition. Matt Baker alongside Giulio Caravatta, Giulio of Lions Radio Network fame, Grey Cup champion. And hey, life goes on. I mean, I was hoping and preparing to talk about a first place battle this week, but it's still a huge chance to move to within 2 points, and can tell you're excited. Winnipeg's in town.
Winnipeg's record up to this point, clearly they're one of the top teams, if not the top team in the league. This is going to be a very, very good test. The Western Division is going to be a real dogfight. As you said, that was a tough loss for the Lions against Saskatchewan. It's one of those things you gotta lick your wounds and you gotta get back on your feet, because it's not going to get any easier.
This Lions offensive line, BCLions.com, we got a nice feature, interviewed Kelly Bates. They've battled through some adversity, but they're in for a tough test. Willie Jefferson, Jackson Jeffcoat, the two bookends on Winnipeg's defensive front. Yeah,
well, anytime you play against a team that has that kind of talent up front, you're going to be in for a battle. Their ability to get to the quarterback with only 4 guys is the difference, right? Like when you're able to do that and drop, the rest of your defenders, you can make it very difficult on teams. And I think that's one of the things that separates them. And Willie Jefferson himself can be a game changer, and he'll put a lot of stress on your offensive line. And he's one of those guys that when you game plan, you got to know where he is at all times, and you're game planning around guys like that. So it is going to be a test. I think the only thing is probably that most people will talk about is the fact that they need to establish a little bit more of a running game, because that's another thing that will hurt you. If you're playing second and long, or you're playing as you're always throwing the ball and there's no threat of run, then it makes their job easier. You don't want to do that. You want to make their job harder.
Well said. It all goes hand in hand. A big reason that we've talked a bit about the setback last week, special teams, field position. That's going to be a big one this week for Mr. Flintoff, specifically in the punting game. You're not going to want to give Winnipeg that average start closer to midfield.
Yeah, well, and in honesty too, like, he's taken some, I think, unfair criticism over that last punt. He's a very, very good punter. And in fact, he's one of the best punters. And it's unfortunate, like you have one bad punt, and that's at the most critical point of the game. But overall, this has everything to do with getting those returns that take you out of your own end, and that can now put you at midfield. And there's no better example than when they played Ottawa. When you get good field position, you put a quarterback like Michael Reilly on the field at the 50-yard line. He needs 2 plays or 3 plays, and boom, he's going to be in the red zone. And the way that sometimes it's just the way the games work out, right? Like, they just couldn't get over that hump of getting Saskatchewan deep in their own end early on. They were just always seemed to be like at the 45, 50, and when you give Cody Fajardo in that offense a short field, right? And even though the defense is playing well and holding them out of the end zone, eventually it's going to catch up to you. Obviously, with Zach Collaros in that offense, that is something that you just don't want to make it easier for them. You want to make it harder by trying to get them deep in their own end and make them work the field. With field position, obviously goes turnovers, right? You can't, against good teams, you can't turn the ball over, right? You can't make mistakes.
And we have to hit on this battle. It is the top 2 quarterbacks in pretty much most categories. Definitely yards, Michael Reilly on top, followed by Zach Collaros. A nice little season Zach's put together. A lot of emphasis on some of these other areas we're talking about with Winnipeg, but awesome quarterback matchup on Friday night.
These 2 guys are very, very good at their jobs. They're 2 guys that go without saying, I think any team would die to have. They know their craft. They're very good at their jobs. They understand the game. They're battle tested. They're great under pressure. For me, these are one of these games that I really, really enjoy, because you're going to see top level quarterbacking on both sides. And usually when that happens, that's a recipe for a great football game. So if you look at these teams, they're very well matched, or both of them are very strong in all 3 areas. Really, what it's a question about is going out and executing your game plan. And as Rick Campbell said at the end of the game, and it goes without saying in every game, that there's probably going to be about 5 or 6 plays that are going to determine the outcome of the game. You hope that you're going to be on the winning end of those 5 or 6 plays. Both these teams have been waiting for this game. There's a lot on the line, and usually when you have all these ingredients, you're going to get an exciting game.
Well said. Giulio Caravatta, him and Moj will be on the Lions Radio Network, AM 730, 6 o'clock pregame on Friday. Very much looking forward to it.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Me too.